So the next factoring pattern that we want to look at is the cubic factoring pattern. And here are two ways that we can see this. This is a pattern that we do have to kind of remember how to do, or there is like a basic setup for us to be able to do this. So this is an example of sum of two cubes. So we have two quantities that are being cubed, being added together. There's just two terms. In order to factor it out, we have to figure out what cube gets me a cubed and what cube gets me b cubed, and then we have to plug it in to this formula. We'll go over some examples. And then difference of two cubes, this is a cubed minus b cubed equals a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. I encourage you guys to write this down. Once you do that, you can move on to the next page, but I'm going to move on to the next page right now. So here's an example. I have x cubed plus 27. So what I do notice is that it's the sum of two cubes. So that's why I wrote down this basic form already. Okay, that's usually the first thing that I do is when I notice it's two cubes, the sum of two cubes, I know that this is the basic form of what it is. So what I have to think about is I have to ask myself, what cubed gets me x cubed? And that is x. X cubed gets me x cubed. So what does that mean? That means that my a term is x. Then the next thing I do is ask myself, what cube gets me 27? And I know that is 3 cubed. So right now, I know that my a term is x and my b term is 3. So what am I going to do? Well, anytime in this form that I see a or b, I'm going to replace it with x and 3. So what I know is that it's going to be x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 3 cubed, or 3 squared. So what does that turn out to be? It turns out to be x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 9. Okay? Now this is your final answer, but it is always good to check it, and this is one of the times that I'll check it. So if I take x through all that, I get x cubed minus 3x squared plus 9x. If I take 3 through all that, I get 3x squared minus 9x plus 27. So what do I end up with? X cubed plus 27. That's what I started off with. So that's your factored form. Let's look at the next one. I have x cubed minus 125. So I notice that these are both cubics, and there's a different sign between them. So I know this is the basic form. So once again, I ask myself, what cube gets me x cubed? And that is x cubed. What cubed gets me 125? 5 cubed. Okay? So I know my a term is x, and my b term is 5. So I'm going to plug this into this formula right here. Okay? So it's going to be x minus 5. And then I have x squared plus x times 5 plus 5 squared. So that's x minus 5 x squared plus 5x plus 25 is the factored out form. If you were to multiply, which I encourage you guys to do, you would see that this turns back into that. Let's look at another example. So this one's slightly more complicated because I have something being cubed. Now I notice that 8 is a perfect cube because I know that 2 taken to the third power gets me 8. So in this case, I know 2x cubed gets me that quantity. Now what cubed gets me 1? Well, that's 1 cubed. So I know my a term is 2x and my b term is 1. Okay, I'm going to plug it into this basic form again. So I will have 2x minus 1, and then it's 2x squared plus 2x times 1 plus 1 squared. So that gets me 2x minus 1. And then I have 4x squared, because 2 squared is 4x squared, plus 2x plus 1. If I were to multiply this out, I would get that quantity. Let's look at another one that's slightly more complicated. Now I look at this. This does not look like a cube because it's taken to the fifth power. And this is taken to the second power. So I want to look at this and ask myself, what goes into all of this? What goes into all of my terms? Well, I know these are all divisible by 2 because they're even numbers. And u squared is in all of them. So I'm going to factor out a u squared from all of them. So right now I have 2u squared, and then I have 8u to the third plus 125. Now, are these both perfect cubes? Well, I know 2 cubed gets me 8, and I know 5 cubed gets me 125. So I know right now it's going to be a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So my a term is 2u, and my b term is 5. So I'm going to have 2u plus 5, and then I have 2u squared minus 2u times 5 plus 5 squared. So I end up with 2u plus 5, 4u squared minus 10u plus 25 is the fully factored out solution. Okay, I want you guys to try these 3 questions and we'll go over them tomorrow in class.